to Glam Estates Radio with your hosts CoCo and Gregory, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Glam Estates Radio. I'm one of your hosts, CoCo Shelburne, and my other host is Gregory Papuzian, who is on the road at the moment. Gregory, you want to say hello?
Hello everyone, hello. I'm on 101 right now. Unfortunately, I had a doctor's appointment I had to take care, and I'll try to be with you from the road. I'll be there in about 15 to 20 minutes according to the GPS.
You are hysterical. I love that he says it. I love that you say that you were at a doctor's appointment. The reality of this was, ladies and gentlemen, he was at a client's home and they had a doctor's appointment. He's being very humble because he took them to the doctor's appointment. So thank you, Gregory, for that. We appreciate it. That's right. The superhero agent is on the road, coming back from the 101, the famous 101 freeway.
Right.
Thank you for going the extra mile, especially. Don't mind the pun. Going the extra mile for a client and really taking care of things for them. That's very kind of you.
You know, we do, like, we care about our clients, and with most of them we become friends and, you know, very close, and so we do what we have to do to help when we can.
We just want to make sure that everyone knows at home and on the road that Gregory is absolutely driving with safety. So don't worry, he's got his Bluetooth on. I already checked. I have the cameras from the road. We know he's driving with his Bluetooth on.
Right.
But this week we're going to talk about especially this. Really, the subject matter of the week really was to discuss what sellers should expect from listing agents and what they can look for when they're looking for a listing agent. And it just so happens this was an interesting example of what is really important for a seller when they're looking to list their home. And what are they looking for with an agent when they do that? So for us, we just want to make sure that the audience at home and those listening really get the best perspective on what's important about their listing agent. Okay? So
this is actually one of the most important topics in real estate. You know, selling a home and what to do, what not to do, and most importantly, who to choose, who to hire for this job. And everybody's looking for a professional, but not everybody is quite doing. You know, some people are cutting corners and stuff like that. We're gonna say everything today. I wish I was there, but you know, I'll do my best from the road.
Well, you know what's interesting about this, Gregory, and I want to point this out to everyone, that you know we really have an option not to be here and not to perform on camera or to be on the radio. But the reality is we do not like to let our commitments go. And the truth is that we could easily have just not been here today, but that's not who we are. Obviously, Gregory has a huge commitment to be present for everyone he can in his life, including clients that he's willing to go out of the way for, and for you all at home and those listening, because it's very important to us and to him especially to be present and to be part of what he puts his name to. And that is one of the main reasons why I love having him as my business partner. He's delightful.
Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Coco. That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Aw, you're welcome. Now, don't forget to bring me a Diet Coke on the way in, okay? Thanks. Just kidding. So one of the major things Gregor was going to talk with you about today was what are the things people should and shouldn't worry about too much when they're looking for a listing agent. The first thing that came to mind for me, of course, this circumstance is your commitment. That's a huge portion of what is important about a listing agent. But there are many other elements to consider as well. One of the major things to consider is a lot of times we will get stories we hear from people, some of which are, we hear agents who tell the story of, oh, you know, I gave them a price and they were really considering whether or not that they felt that was a good enough price for them to list the property at. And what's important for a seller to know and to remember is that a good agent, a really great agent, is going to tell you the truth. And sometimes sellers believe that the number they're hearing from an agent is really a number that it almost sounds like that's an offer. I'm going to offer you $700,000 for that home. And unfortunately, it's really not. It's really giving you the idea. You want to hear the truth from any agent you're speaking with. You want to hear and see the demonstrated numbers of what the market will give. Because unless that agent is offering you a price in hand, that number can likely be too good to be true.
Right. And many agents, in order to get the job, in order to hire for selling a property, they up it a little bit. They say what the sellers want to hear, what sounds good to them, and that's a huge mistake. That's the first mistake you can do when selling a home, because this can bring a lot of problems later. You have to lower the price. It's gonna stay longer in the market, and the buyers are gonna want to negotiate. They're gonna start offering you, way less because it's so many days in the market, and stuff like that. So it's very important to make sure not to go with an agent that is gonna promise you something or tell you something you would like to hear that sounds good in your ears, but something that is realistic.
Right.
And what is realistic is what people are going to pay, what people are willing to pay for your home. That's how much a home worth.
Absolutely. What it's worth is exactly what someone is willing to pay for it.
Exactly.
And it's important to keep in mind that it should be a similar range. You should be hearing a range. That shouldn't be the only thing that keeps you interested in speaking with a great agent. A great agent is willing to tell you the truth and is willing to stand for the number that they're presenting. And keep it in mind that it may be too good to be true if you're hearing 100,000 more if your property is somewhere in the, let's say it's under $1 million. Let's say it's those homes that are under $1 million, and you've got someone who's like, I can get you a $1,500, $150,000 more than the other agents. Show me why.
He would like, I'm sure he has good intentions. He would like to do so.
Sure, absolutely, but they may be a little unrealistic. And if that's the case, you're going to have to consistently change your perspective as to what you think you're actually going to get, and that may just set you up for disappointment. So keep it in mind as you go along that you want to hear the truth about what that is, and take it with a grain of salt what that number can be. And it's not that what they don't think you have done with it isn't great, but the reality is it comes down to what someone is willing to pay for it on the market. So that makes a big difference.
Right. That's where you need to hire somebody that is going to be honest with you, is going to run the comparables in the neighborhood as much closer as there is comparables to your home. So it's a more specific estimate about the home value. So, CoCo, would you like to talk a little bit about how we do comparables and how we come up with the price?
Absolutely. Well, it's important to know that you're comparing apples to apples.
Right.
What is the word in Greek for apples, Grigori?
Mila.
Mila. We want to make sure that you're comparing milas to milas, okay? So it's important to know you're not comparing the price per square foot of, let's say, a house versus a condo. It's a very different market, and maybe 2-bedroom versus 5-bedroom. We've got to make sure that those numbers make sense. You want to see what the market trend is going towards, what the closed sales are in the last three months generally, depending on how hot the market is, how the property compares to another. You want to get as close as you can to that and expect where that's going to go. It can vary, of course, if you have some listing agent who's going to give you a great comparable or be able to put it on the market in such a way where you have the most exposure. It's very important that you work with someone who has great exposure. Another thing that can really generate a negative response is, listen, there's some great agents with wonderful intentions who've been in the system working in real estate for a multitude of years. Now, if you are working with someone who has been in the business for 50 years, just make sure that someone, whoever it is actually in the system wired with a smartphone. They have emails. Believe it or not, there are many agents who still don't operate at a high level of connectivity. So, Gregory, we're getting a little feedback on your side, so maybe you can help us with some of the sound there.
I'm losing you. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm losing you.
No, we're here. Don't worry. Don't lose us. We're fine.
Okay. Now I hear you again. Okay.
But speaking of which, you don't want to lose your agent, someone who is not connected with emails and available. Many agents aren't available a lot of the time. So make sure you have someone who's available. Of course, you don't want to contact your agent at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday to ask them if you think you should put the flowers in the front or the back room. Okay? We're just asking you to keep in mind that keep it reasonable. And frequently that can be an issue. You want them to be able to work well with other agents. You want them to be welcoming to other clients that may be coming in, people that are going to come in and look at your home. You want that positive relationship and a positive connection to electronics and emails, and can put your home on the most fabulous marketing system. Listen, a lot of agents.
Because,
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be. Go ahead.
Oh, I can't.
He got excited, ladies and gentlemen. He's got to tell you.
I was gonna say you're so right, because believe it or not, people are buying homes from their cell phones nowadays.
Yes.
All the I think 60% of home searches are from cell phones.
Yes.
Or mobile devices like tablets and stuff like that. So whether you sell or you buy, I mean, we're thinking about selling. You have to have exposure on the internet, on applications, or on websites, syndicated with different websites for more exposure, and all these. It's very, very, very important.
Exactly. Gregory, you make a fantastic point. There are syndicated properties. Now, what's a syndicated listing? Something that is connected to other websites throughout the area that really bring your property the most marketing. What most sellers don't realize is the same thing that most agents don't realize. Most agents do not have a global syndication. Most have a very localized syndication of properties, which is fabulous for people who are shopping in this general area, whichever area that is in your community. Now, for us, we do it a different way too, because we do international. We make sure our properties are syndicated globally. So that's one thing to keep your eyes out for. You want to work with someone who can give you the most exposure, because let's face it, the more exposure, the more opportunity you have to get the most for your investment.
Exactly, and I really like what CoCo and I are doing, and our clients like it, that we syndicate the properties international, because we work with many Asian buyers or investors who come here and buy, sometimes in bulk, or want specific property, want to send their kids here, and they're looking for specific things. So it's really, really important, this international syndication, because there's buyers out there looking for homes right now. So if your home is not shown, is not exposed internationally, how are they gonna find it? And most of the times these people are cash. Well, sometimes they want to pay even with their ATM card, but that's another story.
That's my favorite.
But yeah,
can I pay with my ATM card?
Why would somebody lose this exposure?
Yeah, exactly.
Advantage of it.
It's important that you make sure you're connecting with someone. Ask that question, please. Make sure that they're syndicating internationally. And if they don't know how to really do that, they may say that they think they know, but those who are doing it internationally already know it's international. Okay? So it just gives you a heads up, gives you the edge on the market. You want people in a frenzy about your place. You really do. So that you have solid offers from people that you know have already been checked, and you have realistic ideas of what those numbers are going to bring you. So keep that in mind as you go forward, okay? There's a few other things I wanted to make sure you knew about as well. Okay.
CoCo, I'm gonna have to let you know. I just parked. I'm coming upstairs.
What? He's here?
All
Ladies
right,
and gentlemen,
that's great.
what? That is a
Bye-bye.
great agent. Okay, bye. Make sure that you're working with someone, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a realtor on the side or a real estate agent. There is a difference between a realtor and a real estate agent. You don't want to necessarily put your biggest investment in the hands of someone who is doing this part-time. God bless them. That's fantastic. But going back to what we said early on, most agents who get a license do not ever do a transaction. More than 80% never, ever, ever do a deal. When I'm teaching, I still run into people who have had their licenses for 10 years. And they come into a class that I'm teaching and they'll say something like, you know, I've had my license for 10 years and I've never, ever, ever done a transaction. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I think it's great. However, a lot of people see it as, unfortunately, the truth is many people see it as a way to sort of have extra income and not necessarily as a profession. Please, when you're out there in the business looking to buy or sell, and as a listing that you have coming up, a home that you're going to sell, a property you're going to sell, please be sure and keep in mind that it's in your best interest to work with an agent who does it all the time, that is absolutely in the real estate business as a profession and not as a part-time thing. No offense to that, and it's great to get your feet wet in the business, but it's in your best interest because they have the most access to the most available pieces for your home to get marketing, to get exposure, know how to handle the transactions, and can handle anything that comes up. Honestly, you need someone who is available to handle the curveballs. You just don't know what's going to happen. And things happen. As you can see what happened today, we sometimes have curveballs come up, and how are you going to handle it? So be sure to keep that in mind. You want someone who's a professional, who's in the business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, connected to it, and not going to another job. It's really in your best interest that way. Another thing to keep in mind is that, okay, so you also have situations where you'll have an agent who is a relative of yours. And it could be that you have a nephew who's just gotten in the business, and maybe he's already in the business. But I have yet to hear a positive story about a newcomer in the business who is a relative. Most of the time when it comes to relatives, it is a negative situation that comes through. The expectations are high. The level of communication can be challenging because expectations are that it's going to simply be delivered, and there's extra anxiety and stress between family members especially. So all in all, unless you have a superstar realtor agent in your family that you're working with, that you know and has a stellar example of how to do the business, it's easier on your life, your marriage, your relationships, to keep that out of the home at the holiday dinner party. Okay, do yourselves a favor. Ask the agent you're going to work with even to give them a referral, so there's no anxiety between you and the family member. Most agents are smart enough to go ahead and take that on and not let that be an issue. So we've got lots of opportunity for people to have great experiences without necessarily having to worry about the extra part of family events and the awkward space of when the home isn't selling on time or something's not working. Fights happen between husbands and wives, the nephew. Don't let it happen to you. Just let it go. Oh, I believe we have a visitor coming in at this point. Someone's about to enter the room. So keep that in mind. We've got lots of people who have gone through the experience. If you've got, like I said, if you have a superstar agent in the family, that's great. Most of the time it's not the case. It's someone who does it part-time or they're okay. But keep it in mind. What's it really worth to you? Do you really want to sacrifice the piece of the dinner table at the holiday, or do you want to go ahead and just let that not be the case.
Hello, everyone. I'm here.
Hey, Grigori! Hey!
I made it.
Well, we talked about curveballs. My goodness.
Oh.
This is a guy who's willing to go wherever he needs to go for clients, get through the curveballs, and deliver. My goodness.
What can I do? I love these people.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Grigori!
There you are, okay.
Nice. Tikanis.
Kala, Coco. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, where
Thanks
we
for,
at?
wow, you're just lickety-split on the dot, mister.
Let's
I
do
love
it.
it. All right. As we say, the show must go on. You want someone who's going to deliver. This is perfect. My goodness. So I was just sharing with them two things while you were coming up here. Was one that we talked about. You don't necessarily want to work with someone who's a part-time agent.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
I kind of
Is that where you're at? Okay, got it.
Yeah. No, part-time agent can be a real challenge, you know. And we discussed how oftentimes agents never do a deal. You know, you're talking about those who get a license. You know, you're talking about it's really the top. They say 10%, but it's really the 5% who get a license who actually are the top producers in the field. So make sure you're working with someone who does that. We also talked. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was
Please.
just going to say the worst thing that we have experienced working with part-time agents is that, you know, we can't reach them. They're
Can't
out of
reach
reach.
them.
Oh, they're, you know, we can reach them on their lunch break. But what happens if we need the signature to go on right now, you know? Or what happens?
For even their own client, they're just not available.
Yeah.
And they could get calls all day long, but if they can't show the property, that's a problem. That means you won't get offers. That means it's money out of your pocket that you won't see because that agent is unavailable, especially if they're working another job. It's just the reality of it.
Right.
So keep it in mind. And another thing that we were just speaking about was relatives who are in the business.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's nice, and, you know, I appreciate people who would like to sell or buy a home with their family or somebody that they really want to help out, and they mean good, but at the same time you really want to have, as you say, you know, a
we'd
meal.
like to be able to complete a meal
You know,
without throwing the dinner rolls
Thanksgiving
at
or
each other.
Christmas, yeah, without being like,
You didn't sell it in time. You didn't do that open house.
Exactly.
That's
it's
why
very
we don't have
important.
offers.
It's good, and I know people mean good to do business with people from their family, but at the end, you know, not all the time. Most of the times, it doesn't turn good.
Right. I was saying, unless we have a superstar family member who is an agent, like literally a superstar.
Why would you sacrifice your relationship? You know,
Not
with
only
your
that relationship.
brother-in-law or with your uncle or
What if it's your wife's brother's son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, chances are, if that's your nephew, you're probably going to have a fight with your wife about why you haven't sold the house yet.
Right.
So it can be extra tension you don't necessarily want to have. Another thing to keep in mind, I think, just off the top of my head, you really want to keep in mind a lot of the things that people get interested in when they get to have a meeting with an agent who's going to be a listing agent for them. A couple things come up that are really important. Number one, people assume that they want to get the agent who has absolutely the most listings in the community. They have 15, 16, 20 listings at a time. That's good for the agent, but it's not necessarily good for you. Let
for
us
your
explain
own
a little.
representation?
Right. If they have that many listings, unless they have the right number of staff, chances are your needs are going to be to the wayside, and the group of things that need to take place will be handled. But your specific details, what's happening with you, taking care of your business, is likely not going to happen.
And
That's just the truth.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's always good, and most of the times to your advantage working with somebody who has a name, who has a lot of listings and all that.
Sure.
But at the same time, you need to investigate and make sure that they have the necessary staff to handle the volume of business. I mean, we grow our staff, we grow. The more we grow our staff as well.
And we'll be the first ones to say we won't take on more than we can handle. If there's going to be a quality issue that's going to be compromised, we just won't put ourselves, or especially our clients, in that position. And I'm not saying anything about anyone who's got 50 listings, whatever they're doing with it. It doesn't matter the number. What the reality of is the situation is to keep in mind that you want to make sure you get the person you hired.
Right.
That not only do you got that person, but you getting that person who is going to be available, and you can reach them, and they're going to take care of your needs. Because the truth of the matter is, there's really no other investment bigger than real estate. And your home, and the sale of your home, and if you have a family involved, making sure all these pieces are handled together is extremely important. So,
and you have a good experience at the end.
You don't want to be so stressed. It's stressful enough on the average. So just make sure you have someone who's available to you, and it's not just the name. Okay?
Right.
Okay. All right. Just want to say that.
What else?
Commission.
Commission,
That's
Commission.
always the big question. People want to know, how little can I list it for?
I think we should explain to the people that
Where does it go?
Where does it go? And that everybody thinks, you made $20,000. Not really.
No.
That's not necessary. It's not all. It's not truth. It's not the truth all the time.
Yeah, and that's what we want to make sure people understand, is that especially in this market and what can be happening, many people advertise that they will list your home for a very small percentage. Look, what the truth is about selling your home, the average is anywhere between 5 and 7%, even according to the national numbers. 5 and 7% is the commission amount to pay. Now, that doesn't pay that agent directly. It's a portion of that goes to the listing side of that home that you're selling.
It's usually split to two sides. The person who gets the listing, who markets the home and gets the home in the market, and the person who brings the buyer.
Absolutely. And frequently, people will get tempted to work with someone who's going to take a percentage or 2 percentage points off. But the truth of that is this: you're compromising somewhere. No one is doing it for nothing.
If they are going to cut it, if they're going to cut the commission, it's cutting. This cut comes from your
representation.
From your representation.
Your marketing dollars.
Exactly. So, meaning, if they cut 1% from their commission, it means that they're going to market your home less. They're going to spend less dollars in marketing your home, in exposing your home to more websites or more advertising and all that.
They may say that they're not doing that, but it has to come from somewhere.
And that it has as a result for you to get, for the sellers to get less money for.
Absolutely. You net less money by doing it that way. That's just the bottom line. And the truth of that is, even if you say, let's say you've got someone who's offered you, we hear numbers from different people. People report, the listing agent only took it for, 4%, 4.5%. Okay, that's insane. Okay, let me tell you why. Because guaranteed they're going to put that smaller percentage will be on the side that's representing the buyer. Anyone who's looking for a home on the market right now is going to be very, very distressed in the thought of trying to. The truth is, you can search a property based on the percentage. You're not going to get as many people who are committed to showing your home, committed to going through whatever your needs are as the seller, if you're only offering a very small percentage. That's just what it comes down to. It's not worth it for them, especially since a lot of them are offering some sort of a rebate back to their buyers. The buyers may be going, oh, forget it. I do not want to deal with that, because they're looking forward to getting a rebate back too in order to close their transaction. They may not have all those funds available, and they're banking on a small credit from that listing, from the seller's, from the buyer's agent in order to move forward. So I think essentially, Gregory, what you were saying was that you get what you pay for.
Exactly. And an agent who's going to cut his commission, most of the times he's just going to put it on the MLS and wait from the buyer's agent to bring him a buyer. And that means that you're just going to have negotiate down most of the times and not get your top dollar. The way we do it, at least, is that we spend our own money up front.
I
to
spend
the-
your
to
money
the
up front.
listing.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
We spend our money up front to the listing in order to get the seller top dollar, because we want the sellers to be happy. We want the sellers to use us again. We want to do a good job.
We're not compromising. Right.
But at the same time, we're not compromising on our commissions that much, because we can go a little down, but not that the percentage that you see from other people. They're cutting this, they're cutting that.
Well, the truth of the matter is, anywhere you're looking, whether you're working with us or someone else, if you're dealing with a discount brokerage firm, you're going to get discount services.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? You're going to be either doing the services, or you're not going to net as much. Or worse, above and beyond all that, the stress that's involved, the extra that you have to do. And what we always see, it doesn't get marketed at the level that you could get the most exposure. You get someone who has it on they put it in the MLS here or wherever your home is at. You get it in a local market, but then we're back down to what we talked about in the beginning, which is that local syndication versus global syndication.
Right.
Let them do the extra. Let them do more. And frequently, like what we do when we don't necessarily do it on every time, and not everyone needs it, but we offer, and most agents who are doing full service, they are offering full service. And that includes assistance with trying to find out how to do your staging. Maybe you need staging. Maybe you don't even realize that your home really needs the eye of someone who's coming in as a buyer, so you can still get the most net money in your pocket.
Right. Staging is so important. That's why we did our
video on
launched
staging, yeah.
we launched Glam Estates with first episode in staging. We believe is really important how the buyers, how the person who is thinking of buying your home is going to perceive the space, how it looks and all that. It's really, really important. It's money that you pay, but it's like investment. It's an investment. It pays back.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Big time gets you. There's just no comparison to a home that's staged versus unstaged. The difference is enormous. You're talking about 73% faster sale on the market and much higher price. So do yourselves a favor and work with someone who's going to give you the most opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, another thing to think about. No, honestly, do you want to work with someone who is really, when you're thinking about it, is it someone you want who is only going to bring you their buyers only? Thinking about that as what we call a dual agency versus single agency, representing just the buyer versus just representing the seller. In your best interest as the listing side, as the side for the selling side of the property that is going on the market, so to speak, on that side, it's in your best interest to have someone represent each side. Of course, you may think that it's better to save some money. Sometimes there's an offer to reduce it, but there are pros and cons to it. I'm not saying it's not done. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there is an important difference in knowing you have dual agency when you have single agency. You have someone who's solely looking after each side, and that way you're really ensuring the possibility of any lawsuit in the future not taking place.
It all works better and smoothly, and each side is fully represented, so you have nothing to worry.
Yeah, that way you can sleep easier at night.
Right.
That's all. This is about getting to a next step, whatever that is. It's about having your new chapter take place, about having that new life, whatever that is. What is your goal? Are you selling in order to go to Miami and live with your grandkids? What are you looking to do?
You don't want in 3 months to go back, take care of the lawsuit you had from your last, for your sale that you did because you decided to go the inexpensive way.
Yeah, just be careful for yourselves. That's really what it is. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that you're real clear with each other as what each side expects. What do you expect from each other? Should you have a plan? A great agent is going to tell you, hey, look, I'm going to contact you on X number of days ahead. And at least once a week, you'll get a synopsis of what's happened and where we're at and what you can expect the next steps are and what our plan of action is. So keep that in mind. You feel free to be clear. Better for you to be clear then to wonder later on what's really going on.
Exactly.
And you want someone who, when you're not feeling well, can take you to a doctor's appointment.
What can I do?
We love that you're so good to our people. This is so sweet. When I'm also thinking is, now here's another funny thing to say. Okay. So I heard this story this week.
Which story?
This story about, so there was a really important thing to think about is how open houses are done. And I was sharing earlier this week.
Oh my God.
this great story. Okay, it's a horrible story, but it's a true, authentic, real event that happened.
That has to do with professionalism.
Holy smokes. Okay, so you hear these stories, but if it hadn't come directly from the person that it did, who is extremely analytical and does not embellish, my goodness. Okay, so the listing agent on this home had an open house. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that the person who's telling me this was taking place went a few houses up to this open house.
With his wife and son?
With his wife and son. His son is 1.5, and his wife is, they're both in their, 40s. Very mellow people.
On a Sunday afternoon?
On a Sunday afternoon, very quiet. There was no one in the neighborhood. And they just happened to notice that there was an open house, so there was no one else there, and they came inside. And the gentleman who came in was wearing a shirt from UFC, and the listing agent was a big guy who was apparently offended by the UFC shirt. Now, the gentleman who had come in, who was the family man who showed up, is about 5'7", weighs about 170.
Right.
And this other listing agent was about 6'4", and well into the 250 size range in weight, and was very offended by the shirt, and literally said to the gentleman, anyone who is wearing that shirt is asking for it.
Now, what was this guy doing there? What was his job?
He's the listing agent running the open house.
I just wanted to mention
that.
It's
good that you remember this, because he's not at a UFC event.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he was a professional selling a home, holding an open house.
Yes. To which the gentleman who had come in was quite surprised, didn't understand what he was talking about. The wife was like a little tiny little person, and she's very, very sweet and demure and soft and gentle, and was like, I don't understand what he wants. And he says, I don't even know what he's talking about. What does he want? He continued to push him into a fight. He literally,
called him out.
Out of nothing, called him out for a fight in the open house.
So is this the person you would like to hire for the job? Oh
my goodness! Now, mind you, once they told me who it was, I was taken aback.
Right.
But given, again, going back to who was relaying this information to me, it is authentic. There's no way that it didn't happen. Not the way there was no way it didn't happen. So I share that with you to say that be sure you're working with people who are genuinely loving what they do. Obviously, that particular person had problems. Literally, I kid you not, they told me that they called him out for a fight because of the shirt. So you just don't know what's going to happen. So work with people you can get along with, and they have a great personality with other people, that they're fun and they're easy to get a hold of and talk to, and they have a sense of humor. I suggest you ask everyone when you're chatting with them, which do you prefer, chocolate or vanilla?
Right.
Throw them a curveball. The worst that happens is they tell you strawberry, right? So, but that shows that someone is ready and amiable and ready to work with you, because the truth is things are going to come up. Things are never something that can't be fixed. There's always a solution.
So there is ways that you can go about making sure, because as much as you can be sure of who you're hiring for the job, you need to look for his past sales. I don't know if you talked about this. when
I
was,
didn't actually, or
oh,
the
you didn't? Okay.
reviews, right?
Yeah, the reviews and their past sales. See how is he connected to the social media, because, if we like it or not, is really important.
Yeah, you want them to
We
be
get business from Facebook. We get business from Instagram.
as
that's
agents.
how it is
That's
right
how
now.
it happens.
Yes.
So you want people that are connected.
That are connected, definitely. They have a website. They are reachable. They might have a team or a support or an assistant or something. As far as we concerned, it's
Languages.
you get
Languages.
Language is very important. Very important.
This
we
is
have
especially in
15,
LA.
16 languages in our office.
Actually, we have 19.
19? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We have
But
19
since,
now. I lost
we-
track. I'm sorry.
We have because we just brought on someone who has 3.
Right.
So sorry. So, but make sure that that's something that's available, because as almost anyone who's in Los Angeles
Yeah.
is not from Los
we
Angeles.
do this, and it's such a big volume because we work with international clients, Asians, Russians, Europeans, so we have to, but at least few languages are enough. But we are doing something different levels. So
Yeah, that's different. but for your own sake, have a couple of languages available, or someone who can at least translate, and not necessarily have to be you, because that can get sticky. You don't want to be the one who's doing the translation.
and look at the past sales, the past activity. What have they done this year, last year?
What have they
Usually-
accomplished things? And
Usually all this stuff are
Yeah.
posted like Zillow or Trulia, these websites.
certainly.
You can search in there. What else?
Gosh, I think that we've covered a whole lot about it. But primarily, you want to find someone you have a good chemistry with as well. Someone that you can rely on. You feel like you have a good connection. They're going to tell you what's going on. They're easy to approach. And knowing that you're able to work with them also means likely that anyone who with questions or concerns or other agents will have the same scenario for them too. So
I do believe that
smooth.
working with an agent is like a short-term relationship, because most of the times nobody finds a home in a week. We work with people who are looking for homes for like 2-3 months. We accommodate their needs, and
And we have clients who, we don't work with someone who's going to work with you for a very long time. They may be this home, and sometimes people move, and then they get to their next home, and they have a job change. So things change.
Right.
Then it happens, especially in Los Angeles. It used to be it was 5 to 7 years. Then I was here for the 3 to 5 years. Now you're looking at 1 to 3 years for movement. So
Especially in some very hot markets like West Hollywood, these areas over there are very
that's right.
hot.
That's right. Yeah. And so that's kind of what was going on for sellers. Keep that in mind. Keep it in mind.
Be
it's
careful.
okay to ask questions.
Hire a
It's
professional,
okay.
experience.
Feel good about it. and
Ask a lot of questions.
yeah, and it's okay to ask for previous clients' information too. Say, is it okay?
Exactly.
Can I ask?
Yeah. Take.
Most of the time, even though people like to be private, they're okay with it. So it's not a big deal. But what was a big deal was what was going on in Europe this week.
Oh.
Holy schmoly, Andy.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
What a busy week, huh?
It was a very busy week, a historic week.
We were talking about this last week, ladies and gentlemen, about Greece and the global market and how it
Just-
affects us and we affect them.
In a few sentences, I just want to resume because it's in my country, Greece, and all the eyes of the world is looking at Greece right now this week. So we vote no to the referendum, meaning no to the German measures that they would like
current terms,
the
correct.
current terms that they would like to apply to Greece, that have nothing to do with progressing and advancing our country and injecting money that are going to the people. It all has to do with recession and more recession without recovery. So we vote no on this, and our Prime Minister took our vote and is negotiating right now these last couple of days. He's doing Eurogroups where all the political leaders from all the countries are meeting together at Eurogroups, and hopefully we're going to come in an agreement the next day or so, in an agreement that is going to be good in both sides,
Yes, this is
Europe
for the
and
global
Greece.
good. This is what this is.
All the Greeks are asking for is like they want to pay, they want to take care of everything that they have to take care. They're not looking to skip anything, but at the same time they're looking for better terms. They're looking to extend the period of time that they are asked to pay the debt, and at the same time, no more recession measures that are giving them like cuts
the
in
terms,
salaries and pensions that.
Sure. I think what it came down to is the way that I look at it as a third party. Again, as I've stated before, as much as I'd like to think that I'm somehow connected to some biological reason that I'm Greek, I am not. Darn it.
Spending so much time with me, you're becoming Greek.
Hey, what can I say?
This last week especially, I feel like you have an accent.
Next week I'll feel like I'm Russian. That's how I feel. Actually, in reality, I am a little more Russian than anything. But that comes down to, look, it's just like the way I see it. Ultimately, it's kind of like when people get themselves into a very high credit card debt, and the interest rate is so high that it's unmanageable.
Right.
And the reality is we're just trying to say, and what I'm saying as a third party, not trying to be, on one side or the other. To me, not really. Don't look at Gregory. I'm serious. Not try to be in the middle of it. I did not have an opinion about it strongly until much later on when I was educated about what was really going on. Look, just looking to basically send that credit card debt to a lower interest. Mm-hmm. That's all we're looking to do for this. And I think it's very resolvable. But as a real estate environment and economics are concerned, a few things are coming up. Please keep your eyes open with us, especially we're going to be talking about different properties that are going to be available. This is something that's been talked about. More properties available in Greece. It's a great opportunity for investors.
At the same time, a lot of big opportunities are opening up in Greece.
People look for these in a lifetime.
And all that, yeah.
It's amazing. And they're affecting the stock market. The stock market has gone up and down. The stock market in China was down today. It was close to where it was 15 years ago.
Yes.
And then we had a little bit of a drop today. And ironically, the computers failed on Wall Street. And I wasn't even there. I just wanted you to know. I had nothing to do with it.
Because we know your power with
I always
electronics.
shut the electronics down. Not that I didn't shut this one down today, because I did apparently too. So just keep in mind that there's a lot of opportunity. The world markets are extremely important to our market. Just like when our market crashed here, it affected the world. So we have to keep in mind that as deeply as the world was affected, when people have the same situation take place somewhere else, wherever that is, whatever our opinion is about how it's gotten there, we have to keep in mind that we are affected in whatever that future is.
Yes.
And I have to say one other thing on that is that my very good friend, Mr. Varoufakis, left his position. We are going on vacation to the Bermuda area later on. No, I'm just kidding.
Was that the reason
I
he
love
decided
that guy.
to take you to Bermudas?
He loves me. He just hasn't met me yet. It's okay.
Oh, okay. It's a platonic relations that you have.
Yes, very typical of the rest of my world. Yes. But keep all jokes aside. Keep yourselves tuned in for this. We have lots more to discuss with it. We love our listeners to be able to know about what's happening, what's available, being educated, and being informed about what's happening in a global market and where your investment can be best made. It may not be in the LA market. It may be in other places as well. So keep it in mind. We have that coming as well.
Right. I want to say, because this is like huge news, especially for Greece, that the European on the negotiation, they asked for Varoufakis, our finance minister, not to be present and to be replaced. And so he did, for the good of the country. He chose not to go with not to fall in love with the chair, but fall in love with the country and help the country and not the chair. You know?
What? Me? What?
No, I'm talking about.
Oh.
So that was huge for us. But I believe, and that's what I hear, that when you're in a negotiation, you give and you take. We gave up our our finance
There are
minister.
sacrifices.
We gave exactly. We
There are
gave.
sacrifices, and
Hopefully,
and
we get a good.
just like you sacrificed being here in the
Some
first
good-
few minutes so that you
yeah.
could make sure people were taken care of. We thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
and one other final shout out. We're going to be very glam this week.
Where can people find us?
Glamestates.com. And where are we on Instagram again?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Glam Estates.
Glam Estates, ladies and gentlemen. You can reach us. And if you have questions, it's okay to, I'm going to give you my cell phone number.
Please feel
What?
free. Write on our wall.
323-425-9484. Grigori.
562-537-2595.
And one other last note, there is a lovely and glamorous dance competition this week, the Palm Desert Classic.
Oh, wow.
I am so excited. I just want to say to Cora Buckland, best wishes. Go get them, girl. I see all my friends there, and we'll bring you some footage back of that. That's very glamorous. We're going to have fun.
Awesome. So thanks everyone who listened to us today. And till the next one.
Till the next time,
Glam it up, baby.
You're listening to Glam Estates Radio with your hosts, CoCo and Gregory, right here on LA Talk Radio.